Hello, chat. Please help save me. Sasha and Steve are talking about Wordle, and I don't play Wordle. I'm a famous word hater. Can't stand them. Never use them. And they are currently comparing starter words, which is Sasha is also playing today's Wordle and going, "Oh dear, oh no!" It's like, oh, we've upgraded from "oh dear" to "oh no." Anyway, hello everybody, it's me, your currently a bit unfancy TBH friend, Jonny. Jonny, why are you unfancy? Why have you not been wearing a top hat? I've been working, I'm a working man. I've been down the word mines, editing, and in fact, finishing the second draft of book number 2, which I cannot tell you about yet because hopefully there will be some sort of big reveal sometime in the next month or so. Fingers crossed. We're currently waiting on cover art, but I finally finished the second draft edit, and yeah, so that's what I've been doing today. And I'll be honest, my brain real crunchy right now. So if you don't know what it means to have a crunchy brain, so brains have I would say 3 modes. Normally a brain, ideally, you've got a wet brain, just a nice wet brain. It's got yes, people are saying Twitch won't let you watch it. Well, I mean, I'm live. The thing is green, and people seem to be replying. Like, people are currently unhappy that I've said the optimal state of a brain is wet. But like a wet brain, the optimal level of fluid. It's like it's just like it's good there. It's sloshing around like it's meant to, and everything's nice. Then you have smooth brain. Smooth brain is when it's just, smooth brain. Everything just sort of slides off your brain. It's not unpleasant, but also you can't really, do anything when you're smooth brained. And then there's crunchy brain. Crunchy brain is what I've got right now. Crunchy brain is when you've wrung all the wet out of your brain. You've spent the day really just doing stuff with that big old wet melon, and now it's just all wrung out and crunchy. And luckily, I don't need to do anything now except hit people with a stick and talk absolute guff. Oh. Ah, I died before I could put my hand inside of his chest. Is bone traditionally quite wet? Steve is saying that the ideal situation for a brain is similar to the ideal of situation of bone, which, yeah, that sounds about right. You don't want crunchy bones, and you probably don't particularly want smooth bones either. Although I don't know, I feel like having smooth bones feels fine to me, but I'm not a bone scientist. Steve has made quite a funny joke, which is that they are called boners, which bone scientists are called boners, or bonists. But I expressed it like that to be a dick to Steve, but also that was quite a funny joke. I've done this thing where if I like a joke a bit, I'll laugh at the joke. If I like the joke a lot, I won't laugh, but I'll be like, that's a really good joke. And I mean it sincerely, but also it's not the reaction you want when you've told a really good joke. So yes. Anyway, for those who are curious as to what TF is going on right now in Yarnum, I am. Oh, you fucking! He never does a visceral attack when I want him to do a visceral attack. I am currently FNC lad, the fanciest of lads with his threaded cane. Currently going to try and defeat Vicar Amelia. Trouble is, Vicar Amelia is really vulnerable to high stagger weapons. And you know what this fucking thing ain't? It's a high stagger weapon. It's a very low stagger weapon. Is the threaded cane. But it's fine. Also, I haven't been able to put on any armor because none of the armor is fancier than the starting kit, which is bad news for fans of me not taking horrendous damage from everything. I hope everyone appreciates my commitment to the bit. I'll be honest, the danger is not actually that people will not appreciate my commitment. The danger is that I will get frustrated enough by the consequences of my commitment to the bit that I will just stop. Which, I don't know, it's going to take a while, because you know how I love to inconvenience everyone by committing to a bit. Oh, yeah, fucker. Ow. Ow. Whoop. Right. Oh, you prick. Moving away just as I'm about to... Ah. Ow. Oh. Ha! Ha ha! Beast! Just thought I should probably take the opportunity to say beast in a fancy way. Ow. Although my fancy voice is also a little bit on the Matt Berry side, which is... That's a good question, actually. How fancy is Matt Berry? Because, ow, bloody hell. Because that's... I think there's a real... Because as a Brit, I would actually say Matt Berry is not particularly fancy. Like, he's posh, but that's... Oh, goodness. But that's not actually the same thing as fancy. But I feel like... Oh, what's going on? Put me down! Ow! He's done! Ouch. No. So yeah, it's a question as to how fancy Matt Berry is. Should we try again? Let's try again. Good day. Ow! I said good day. Said good day, sir. Alright, yes, good day. There was a moment there, chat, where I was really... Good day. I was really worried something bad was going down with Sash and Steve, but I think they're just consternated over a puzzle. There was some really, like, hushed discussions, and I was like, is everything okay? It sounds like they're having some real issues, but I'm pretty sure it's just a puzzle. Oh, also, chat, I have a request, a plea, just like it to see if anyone. So, fuck. Turns out, like every Sunday, I download the stream from Twitch and upload it to YouTube. Unless I forget, you know? But I never forget for more than 2 weeks. So it's not a problem. Except I did maybe forget for more than 2 weeks. For the inaugural Fancy Lad stream, which had the character creation in it. So that one's not on YouTube currently, and I don't have it. So if anyone's just one of them people who loves to download, well, me, I guess. You know, those people who love to download me. If you're one of those and have the inaugural Fancy Lad stream, please do get in touch, because that would be real sweet. Okay, I have no idea what's going on right now, but let's keep hitting. Ow. Oh, God. Ow. She screams so much. All the time. All scream. Ow. Oh, okay, well. I guess sometimes, some days, you dodge the fist, some days you dodge into the fist. Also, I've realised I've been playing for 15 minutes, haven't checked the Ko-fis, haven't checked the Discord. It's fine. Everything is going wonderfully. And, so, yes, we've got some Ko-fi messages. Ko-fi from LA, thanks. To Mr. FNC Lad Esquire, may I suggest investigating the haberdashery options available to tomb prospectors. While the coat may not meet your exacting standards, the boots and gloves may suit your fancy need. Yours in fanciness, an admirer. I might investigate, but I'll be honest, I have upgraded my... I've upgraded everything except the actual coat. It's just that the actual body, it's just that the body is where all the armor lives. But I might check out the tombs. I don't know. I don't like the tombs. I don't like the tombs. Kofi from John D. Hi, Johnny, Sasha, chat, cats, and mods. It's been a while since I was able to catch a stream, but I have good news. I'm finally on testosterone. That is great news, John. Congratulations. Kofi from Historia Gloria. Hi, everyone. I haven't been able to catch a stream live in ages, but I'm currently banned from my living room as my boyfriend plays a secret Call of Cthulhu game. Well, it's not secret now. You've just Ko-fi'd about it. But in good news, I just got my dream job as assistant community curator, so have some cash. That's wonderful. But also, dream bigger. I have every confidence that you could make deputy community commissioner, curator, you know? But no, seriously though, really congratulations, that's amazing. Chad is noting that many of them only know him as Laszlo in What We Do in the Shadows, where they would consider him fancy. That's it, actually, because the thing is, I would not actually consider Laszlo as fancy. Laszlo is like a skeevy toff, which is he's also like canonically within the fiction he's not actually a toff. Well, no, he's a bit toff. No, I thought he was. I thought the thing is like he's not as fancy as the fanciest people in the world, but he's still like fancier than 90% of the world. I forget, but the point is. Sorry. yeah, like the thing is, like he's British and has a posh voice, but he is not actually the mould that I think most Brits would think of as fancy. So I think that's an interesting litmus test. Hey, we have looks like we have a copy of the missing stream, so that will all be up on YouTube in the next few days. Thank you very much, Ziggy. Dapper Andy, you wouldn't download a Jonny. I mean, feel free. That's fine. That's what I'm here for. Drop me a Ko-fi if you do, unless you have used it to save my bacon, in which case, oh, hey. Anyway, I'm rambling. Foxglove pal, who needs a Discord? It's only how the mods communicate. Yeah. Oh, Maddie, did you? Oh, yeah. No, I haven't checked the Discord for a while. Looks like Maddie already sorted it long before this stream actually began, and told me that it was sorted. I didn't look at Discord at all, and when I did look at Discord, I was like, oh shit, I better get to the mods Discord, and thus didn't actually check my direct messages, which included a message from Maddie saying, "Hey, don't worry about it, Jonny. It's sorted. I've got it sussed." So I just you never needed to know that I'd fucked up. That was an own goal. That was me going, "Hey, look, I've actually left that goal right open, and now I think I might kick the ball into my own goal. I'm gonna do it. I've kicked it into my own goal." Shit. That was the earlier part of the stream from me. Oh, Frank's here! Yeah, and I'll tell you why that man is so long. He's so long because he is Fanianus Nigel Constantine Lad, Esquire, FNC Lad. He is the fanciest lad who has ever been fancy in Yarnham. Look at his cape, look at his top hat, look at his rubbish little stick, look at his neatly creased trousers. What a fancy lad. Kofi from E. I have a temporary job before my main job starts in September, and my good news for this week is that even though they know I won't be there permanently, my temporary job has given me a small promotion. Hey! Kofi from Silvercolour. Kofi for the FNC Lad Fund, because he needs some money to get fancier clothes, obviously. But also a Kofi specifically for Maddie, because they recommended a yoga channel a few weeks ago that I've been following, and my back pain is gone now! Congratulations, and good shout, Maggie. Maggie? Maggie? Maddie! I'm so sorry, Maddie. Anyway, point is, if Maddie tells you to twist into a position, always do it. And a Kofi from the captain. This is 2 weeks worth of good news, but I have tickets to see the Mountain Goats, and I'm now 2 weeks on T. Friday is shot day. Heart, things are nice. That's amazing. That's just great news. I'm very happy. I'm especially happy that you are going to see the Mountain Goats, and that I am not. Sorry, that's unnecessarily. Okay, I don't particularly like the Mountain Goats. They are like, I know I should. I know legally I am in the demographic that likes the Mountain Goats. It just bounces off me. I think it is. I've tried to figure out for a very long time why I don't get on with the Mountain Goats, and I literally think the answer is because too many of their songs are in the major key. They love to do this interesting thing where they sing like a slightly mournful song, and with like what would normally be quite a minor tune, but they do it in a major key, and it creates this dissonance. But my brain literally just goes, it's in a major key, it's happy. We don't like happy songs, we like cool songs that are like miserable or like edgy, or 20 minutes long. And I think literally that's just what my brain does. That's on me. I think that the people who like the mountain goats are correct, and I am incorrect, but it is also the truth. Right. Oh, goodness. Ow. Alright, let's go. Oh. Stab you in the arse. Ow. Ugh. Oh, for goodness sake. I keep thinking I've nailed the dodge window, and like acting as though I've nailed the dodge window, and absolutely having not nailed the dodge window. Ow. Sometimes you just gotta shoot a thing, you know? It doesn't help, but you do it. Because... I don't know why I'm trying... This time, I'm trying randomly shooting. Maybe that will help. It has not helped. And... Oh! Oh, what? Oh, wow, okay. Oh no, everyone's saying Maggie! I'm so sorry, Maddie! This wasn't what I wanted! This was never my intention. Shiny Happy Goth, Kofi. A couple of streams ago, you suggested fancy tiny cakes for my birthday. I will not be attempting petit fours. I'm not equipped for that, but I will be making chocolate cupcakes with gold cinnamon frosting and pearl sprinkles.
That sounds pretty fancy to me.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely... Like, that's definitely fancy enough for me. I mean... It's obviously not fancy enough for FNC Lad. Who will not eat anything lower than a petty 5. But for you, me, and the rest of people who aren't so fancy their faces are distorted, I think chocolate cupcakes with cinnamon and pearl sprinkles is both delicious and very fancy. Off we go. Ah, what? That's... no, that doesn't hit me. That never hits me. That's... Ooh. Don't like that. Don't like that. Right. And again! Oi! Dickhead! This gun does not fire very far. Hold on, yeah, okay. Oh, right. Oh. Rimini. Okay, so... I mean, that was doomed right from the time the giant whacked me with his axe. Ah. Kofi from Alf. Hi there, sir. I just re-listened to Magnus with Friends, and as someone who's very, very fond of your work, but also very, very French, may I respectfully ask that we go over the Scaraby thingy once again, please? I mean, not to be unpleasant. Oh, and here's money for the trouble. I don't know what there is to... I mean, sure, yeah, we can go over it. My interpretation is my French was flawless. Thank you for your time. Anyway, we have so we've got a little bit of salesman Jonny coming up. So buckle in for that because we have just this week taken delivery of the hard copy, the basic hard copy. We haven't got the deluxe ones; those ones are going to take a little while. But we've got the hard copy of Odd Jobs, and it is fucking beautiful. It is lovely. It is wonderful. What? I'm not overselling it. I think it's fucking beautiful. I think it's a great looking book. What do you mean? Don't oversell it. I'm incredibly I'm legitimately not even trying to hype it up. I think it looks amazing. I think V did a fantastic job with the layout, and I think that layout has really well translated to its physical form. Anyway, if you are a Kickstarter backer who got a normal edition, you should be getting it sometime in the next, I want to say, month or so. Depends on, like, I mean, you know, shipping schedules and shipping schedules. But well, I say shipping schedules. What I mean is, I don't actually know how long shipping takes to various parts of the world for a package of a book these days, because shipping worldwide, bit fucked. But you should be getting it hopefully within the next month or so. I've died actually, so Sash, could you pass me a copy so I can show it off on stream? But also, if you missed the Kickstarter, you can now pre-order it on our website. You can pre-order the hard copy.
The Kickstarter backers have to get their copies first.
Yeah, obviously the Kickstarter backers have to get their copies first, which is why it's pre-order, not order, because, like, it feels really, like, it would feel really weird if somebody just bought it and got it quicker than somebody who had backed it, like, a year ago. But, oh, look at this. Look at it. I mean, it's backwards on the camera, obviously, but, oh, it's all... Oh, it's beautiful. Look, there's tables. I mean, I know a lot of game books have tables, but this is our game book, and it has tables. There's some more tables. There's lots of tables in it, actually. And just, it is lovely. Oh, look, here's a bit where it says GM only. Don't read any further. So if you're not a GM, don't have looked at the camera just then. But yeah, it's here. It's a physical book.
Do you want to tell them what it actually is, though?
Yeah. So if you don't know what Odd Jobs is, if you've just come here because you're like, oh, Bloodborne, I'd like to see a fancy man getting smashed on Bloodborne. He's wearing a top hat. He's using a threaded cane, even though it's the worst weapon. What a fancy person. I and Sasha, my spouse, we run a tabletop game, a small tabletop game publishing company called MacGuffin & Co. It's also a channel. We also stream on Sundays, so watch that there. Watch that. Just watch it. Do it. But we recently, last April, we kickstarted a collection of micro settings, which are so you know how most, I mean, I don't know if you do. If you play TTRPGs, you probably know that most RPG settings are pretty fucking big. You know, they are worlds, or they are, I don't know, fucking solar systems. They are huge because they want to give you an opportunity to play just a vast array of different character types over, like, the epic campaign that lasts, like, 2 years. And, like, it's that they go for scope. But you know what? We really like shorter campaigns that are like... But so it also means that a lot of campaigns, a lot of settings, can't really go for it, you know? They can't be weird because they've got to allow for too many options. So what we do, what this collection is 11 micro settings, which are essentially really narrow, small ideas for settings and campaigns that are intended to, and we provide like a basic sort of 4 or 5 adventure campaign and a few like 10 or so adventure seeds for each that can like extend the campaign. But they're designed to be played over a few good sessions and just give you a really a cool, short, interesting game. So for instance, the first one we did, and still one of my favourites, is called Ghost Ship. It is basically, what if you were in the future, in space, harpooning ghosts? You are in this future. People have gone to the solar system, and turns out if you die for some reason, souls are connected to the planet, and if you die in space, your ghost hangs around. So there is a profession called ghosters, which is basically you go around collecting up ghosts from space. Unfortunately, not all the ghosts want to come, and some of them you have to do it the hard way. And this is a weird concept, and the fact that we don't have to come up to do like a full setting in which ghoster is like one profession we can just be like, no, the core of this game is you are ghosters. I think the comparison I always think of is Discworld. Oh my god, I dodged that. I definitely fucking dodged that. For instance, Discworld is a setting. The Watch is a micro setting. Because inherent in a micro setting is also saying, here's who you are. And so we've got 11 of those, and we've put them together in a cool collection. In fact, here's Ghost Ship. Doesn't that look sick as fuck? Yes, it does. I've also got Atlantis City, where you are running a casino in the sunken city of Atlantis. We've got Not Far to Bermuda, where you are a hospitality staff on a cruise that's been lost in the Bermuda Triangle for nearly a year now. We have Primetime Coliseum, which is what if Roman gladiators were also basically pro wrestlers? Just a lot of really, really good stuff. And if you haven't heard of it from me before, now you have. Oh no, I'm out of fucking files. Oh, I hate the threaded cane. It's such a garbage weapon. Well, I mean, this is the Fancy Lad stream, so now you get to watch me go farm some blood vials for an hour and a half. Yes. Ugh. To be fair, there is an aspect where, I did defeat the blood-starved beast and then immediately go to challenge Vicar Amelia, so I did kind of deplete my own blood vials doing that, but, you know.
Did you know?
What's up?
Do you know that our beloved god Jessica Crime has 69?
I did not know. Well, no. I didn't know that Jess Crimes' contribution to Odd Jobs was on page 69. But in my heart, I feel like I knew. You know? Sometimes you don't know something, but you just know it. It was not intentional on our part, but it definitely was intentional on the part of the universe. You know, generally, I don't believe in destiny. But that's destiny for you. Kofi from Tomcat. Hello, Jonny, Sasha, Stephen, Mods, Cats, and Chat. I have a really tough exam tomorrow, a final exam from all of my med studies, and my brain is very crunchy right now. Currently relaxing it by watching the stream. Thank you for all the company and wish me luck. Good luck, and I hope we help to moisten your brain. And a Kofi from Kofi supporter. Hi, Jonny et al. It's getting rare I can make a stream these days, so I'm very excited to catch this stream. Things are picking up for the play I'm working on, so I'm now fielding questions like, can I rent a t-shirt cannon? Do they have a minimum range? And I want to say, I feel like yes, t-shirt cannons have a minimum range. I feel like that's probably a thing. I would... Don't shoot people at point blank with a t-shirt cannon. I feel comfortable saying that. Congrats on the play though. That sounds really cool. But also don't do any t-shirt cannon based murders. Just be careful, you know. With any variety of high velocity clothing, to be honest. Oh, Lake Ghosts. What would micro settings be a good way to get into RPGs? That's a very good question. I think playing in a micro setting would be a very good way to get into RPGs. If you want to run your first RPG, I don't think micro settings are necessarily the ones for you, for the very simple reason that the micro settings are what's known as system neutral. What that means is we give you like character types and locations and NPCs and adventure ideas, but we do not, and occasionally we'll give you specific like little systems to keep track of stuff, but the settings themselves are not like, if you play D&D, you will not find any like profiles for monsters, for instance. Even if there are monsters, you will get a description of the monster, but you will not get the stats. You'll not get its hit points or its armor class. Same with if you prefer to play things in Fate, you won't get stats like that. And this is for a bunch of reasons, mainly because we didn't want to tie these micro settings too closely to specific systems, because different ones of them will work better in different systems. I think there are quite a few which would make amazing Powered by the Apocalypse games, a few that would be really good for something like Fate. Others would play well in D&D, and there's one in particular which, you know, you'll know if you've read any of them, which would do very well in any Call of Cthulhu style system. It's called Dusk Hollow PD, and it's about being a private detective in a really messed up, so horror, it's pretty funny city of... Don't bow to me, I'm just making you kill things. So because of that, I think to run, you want... And also, because a lot of people, myself included, really like hacking settings to make them work with specific systems. It's a thing that's quite fun, I think, and like it's nice to give people an opportunity to do so. But
Also, one of the reasons is that a lot of groups are like, but I've invested so much time in learning this system.
yeah, often Sasha's pointing out another reason we did it is because a lot of people have a system that they prefer and that they feel quite invested in, because, you know, learning a system can take time, and like, unless like us you just devour role-playing game systems to the point where you can learn one very quickly, it's an investment of time and money to get a system. And we have, like, I mean, it's a lot of it is time and practice. So like providing a system that is not, that like you can easily hack to use with your system of choice is, I think, very important. Anyway, so the point is, I think running one of the micro settings is probably, I would say, really good for like a second or third time GM. Someone who is like pretty confident with their chosen system, but wants to branch out and try new things with it. Try like some new ways of playing, some like maybe do something shorter form.
You've done a couple of one-shots in a system. A micro-setting is a great way to get used to doing campaigns.
Yeah, I think yeah, Sasha's saying if you've done a couple of one shots in a system, a micro setting is a great way to try out doing a short campaign in that. Or if you've done like the big epic campaign for a game, it's a really nice way to take that system and use it to do something a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun. Well, no, not more fun. Sorry, a little bit more whimsical, I guess. A little bit weirder. I would say that if you're as a player, absolutely this like the micro settings, like as long as you got a GM as long as you got a GM who's put in the time to hack it together and can explain the system that they're using to you, I think any of those micro settings would be a great intro to an RPG. I'm not going away. You go away. Oh. Yes, I know how we do GM for hire. What's up? Oh, like GM seminars, or like. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, just we're. Yeah, yeah. I was about to say, is this something you want me to pass on to chat, or is this just a fun business reckon? Just like, oh yeah. Sorry. Oh, a GMinar. That's a great idea. I mean, literally, it's just a thing I said, but I guess like, I mean, it is something we do professionally, so we could theoretically just run some workshops. I don't know. Is that a thing people might be interested in? I don't know. Let us know, I guess. Kofi from Lucky. Hello, Jonny et al. Getting to watch the stream live from work this week. Boss is gone. It's my last day at this job, and what are they gonna do? Fire me? So spending time watching a fancy lad do some murders. Cheers for leaving the toxic jobs and moving on to something better. Cheers. That's great news. Yeah. Congrats on leaving the fucking job, and congrats on spending the time until you've left watching me murk some dudes. Yeah, just good news all round. Oh, you don't need to run a poll in chat, Jester. I'll be honest. Polls have, I think, limited use in like this particular sort of. I mean, oh god, I was about to use the phrase market research, because I think a lot of people like for this sort of thing, a lot of people. There is a real. It's like the. Oh no, you don't like this. It's like on Twitter. A lot of people like will run polls, which is like, oh, would you like to see this on a T-shirt, for instance? Or if I were to do this sort of product, would you buy it?
I just ran one of those
Yeah.
on the Twitter thing, and I think that 75%
Yeah. No.
of people will actually do it. I think that, well, if 150 people said yes to the poll,
Yeah. No. Okay. No. Fair enough. Fair enough. It is useful, and no, you're right. I have done it myself as well. But like, I think it's people do like polls. You're right. I think it's very easy. It's very tempting to read it as like what you are always polling is this something that people would like to be a thing? Which is, but that is in almost no circumstances one-to-one with this is something people will like buy or pay for, or this sort of thing. So it's
like, I think in ours it
Yeah, sorry, Jester's basically saying, oh, don't worry, I wasn't trying to be helpful. So, that's fine then, Jester.
No, it was like about like 75% of people said yes, I want merch, but not very many people answered the call, so I'm probably not going to do merch.
Yeah, that's fair. I think like I saw some ideas that might be nice, like doing some stickers or something that we can pop into.
Yeah.
That we could like when we're sending something out, we can just like pop in a sticker or something. I think that might be a nice thing to do. Kof from Lucky. Hello, Jonny et al. Getting to watch. Oh wait, no, I've literally just read that one. Anyway, congrats again on leaving the shitty job, Lucky. If you want to potentially get read out twice, drop a Ko-fi to kofi.com/Jonny and Sasha. It lets us do this stream and eat, and it's all split between us and the mods. Because wrangling, you horrible lot, I mean, you beloved fans, wrangling Olliers is definitely skilled labour, and even if it were unskilled labour, it would still deserve to be paid. Yeah, there is. You're right. Actually, there is no such thing as unskilled labour. But point is, mods should be paid where possible. Like, I know there are scenarios where like volunteer modding a community, I think is fine if you are a member of that community. But we are professionals. I mean, you might not be able to tell. You might not be able to tell from me fighting Vicar Amelia, but we're professionals, and the mods are like working for us, and thus deserve to be paid. Yeah, I mean that's the core of it. Sasha said, if anyone's getting paid, everyone should be getting paid, which I think it's just the best rule of thumb. Like, you know, absolutely, there are spaces where like people do volunteer stuff, but volunteering stuff in a situation where everyone's volunteers and this sort of thing, it's one thing. Volunteering in a space where you are making someone else money, that's another thing. It's a very different thing. I think there is also a little bit of like room around like things like charities, where you do get volunteers working for a charity, and you also get like staff who are paid by that charity. And I think there's definitely I think there's definitely. But charities are crucially not for profit, you know. I think that's it. If anyone's making a profit, everyone should be getting paid. Oh no. Oh, you beasties. Oh. Yeah. There you go. Well, there was a poll, which was titled, "Is Jonny wrong about polls?" 4% said yes. 2% said no. 94% said poll go burr. So, poll go burr. So, I think that's pretty conclusive. Thank you all for your help. Kofi from Brittany. Hey Jonny, have a Kofi. Also, just curious, do you, Sasha, and or Steve watch Critical Role? Have you watched any streams of the current Campaign 3 or see any of the animated series Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon Prime Video? Short answer is no. I mean, to be fair, I can't speak for Steve, but I'm pretty sure no. The long answer is, oh, I don't have time for that shit. Do you know how many hours there are of it? good lord! So much of it! And the much longer answer is like any indie TTRPG creator, I have a really complicated and very personal relationship with the current moment that D&D specifically is having, and Critical Role's part in that, because while it is lovely to see tabletop RPGs coming back into a certain sort of prominence, and getting a lot of very high-profile time, it has also done a lot of work to solidify D&D as synonymous with the hobby in a way that I have always found, just kind of irritating, and as an indie RPG professional, really irritating, because it is very limiting in terms of what people think RPGs are and what people think RPGs can do. And in a similar way to how Wizards of the Coast is something of a monopolizing monolith over a lot of the RPG industry and community, I think Critical Role is over a lot of the kind of performance RPG actual play space. And I think that the sensation most people who do actual play would have to people saying, "Oh, like Critical Role," is identical to the feeling that as an indie TTRPG designer I get when I tell people what I do and they say, "Oh, like D&D." Actually, no, they don't. They say, "Oh, like Dungeons and Dragons." So, like, it is like, I think what they like, everything I have seen of them is like, these are some fine performers doing a really good job of performing playing an RPG. And I think they've done a really good job. I think they do it very well. In the sense that like D&D 5th is also actually a pretty damn good game. It is, they like 5th edition. They've finally nailed making D&D not a nightmare. But that doesn't alleviate any of the complicated and conflicting feelings I have surrounding it. I know that's much more of a long and rambling, and yeah, I know what you were hoping was, oh yeah, I saw Vox Machina, it's really good, right? Isn't, I want to say Jinx? Is there a Jinx? Well, if there's a Jinx, I'd be like, oh, isn't Jinx great? Ah, the character arc is very compelling when she, I don't know, killed the orc? I don't know. But unfortunately, I have far too many thoughts. As with most things, I have way too many thoughts for my own good. And somehow more thoughts when my brain is crunchy. So yes, that is my feeling. Oh, also, actually, no. I have another thought on Critical Role, which is I actually think it's a little bit bad for. I think way too many new players take it as what a good game looks like, when it is not what a good game looks like. It is what a good performance of a game looks like. Role-playing for an audience is completely different from role-playing with your own group.
New people in the hobby think playing games
Yeah. Yeah, so that's,
feel like they have
yeah. Like, yeah, like playing, even DMing doesn't have to be a performance. Like, and if you're playing with friends, if you're playing recreationally, it shouldn't be a performance. It's a performance for you. It's a performance for other people. It's not for the other people in the group. I think that a lot of people new to the space who are brought in by Critical Role, or to a lesser degree other high-profile actual plays things, come in with a slightly distorted idea of what a good recreational game looks like, you know? But I'll be honest, that's not actually a criticism of Critical Role, because like that is basically saying they're too good at their jobs of performing a game, and it makes everyone think that like that's, you know, no, that's like saying, oh, the folks who made the raid are too good at looking really good doing martial arts, and make everyone think that just doing kung fu fights is easy and fun. It's like, well, if, you know, that's not. To be fair, the raid is definitely not kung fu. We've been watching a bunch of Shaw Brothers movies recently, but yeah. So anyway, those are objectively too many of my thoughts on Critical Role. Thank you for asking. Kofi from Inca the Badger. On the subject of charity, I've accidentally started a fundraiser. I commissioned an art for the situation gestures vaguely in my city and showed people who wanted a copy, and the artist said go for it. Now I got to figure out Redbubble so I can give profits to a shelter. That's really good. Well done. Like, sounds like a headache, but hopefully it's a headache that will be worthwhile and do some real good. So well done. Jester says there is not. That is Arcane. Arcane is the League of Legends one with Jinx. I know what that means, and like intellectually I know that they are different, but actually they're the same thing. I don't know if anyone's aware of this, but it's like how we are currently just in the business, in the logistics side, having to liaise with a bunch of people. We're having to liaise with somebody called Nigel, and we're having to liaise with somebody called Simon, and that's confusing because those are the same name. Many people would not realise that that's the same name, but it is actually the same name. Similarly, the Arcane, the animated show about League of Legends, and the Legend of Vox Machina, the animated show about a Critical Role campaign, they're the same show. You might say, Johnny, they have different characters, they have different stories, they are about different things, they have different casts, and you're right, that is a reason you might be confused and think that those are the different shows, but actually they are the same show. I have not watched either of them. Anyway, I feel like this has deviated a little bit from being a fancy lad running around mumbling about tiny cakes, but I'm okay with that, actually, you know? This is because I'm just spending this stream inadvertently gathering a huge number of blood vials in order to continue just pointlessly dying against Vicar Amelia. It has turned into a bit more of a Q&A, and that's fine. It's nice to occasionally have like just a little Q&A stream while my eyes and fingers are busy murdering the same troll just 100 fucking times. Oh, okay. Sash is also here if you want to queue Sash's A. What? To question your answer.
I'll answer their questions.
Okay. So anyway, if you have queues for our A's, actually, yeah, at some point I might just give Sash the mic. We'll see. But yeah, let us know. Obviously, if it's a Kofi question, will probably get answered quicker because you gave us money, and I mean, unfortunately, like I'd love to be like everyone is equal, and value-wise, everyone's equal, but front of the queue wise, the people who give us money are more at the front of the queue. But anyway, while those are coming in. Sash, do you want to ask me a question? Yeah, just to get the ball rolling.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, my question is, so, what do you think about cats?
So Sasha's question is, what do I think about our cats? I think they're all right. You know, B plus. Sorry, the look Sash just gave me very much tickled me. I think our cats are the best cats. They're great, and it is a delight that one. I've rarely been as legitimately delighted as when wonderful artist Kale, who was doing some illustrations for us for Zero Void, did one of the illustrations as a cool space version of the Ambassador. That is just legitimately one of the most like delightful things that has happened in my life for a very long time. So they are wonderful. I also cannot figure out the logic behind how soft they are. What I mean is, sometimes they're really soft. They're always a bit soft, but sometimes they're like really fucking soft, and I don't know why. I'm like, I know you're not conditioning it, but it's just the situation. Utterly baffling, delightful, but baffling. Also, I know I've lived with them for a very long time because now, rather than any time they come on my lap, I'm like, oh, truly I am blessed. Oh, I hope that the cat will settle and I will stroke it. I'll just look down and like there'll just be a cat just there, and I've been stroking it for like 5 minutes already, and I'm like, when did this happen?
Classically Lonely says, maybe it's Feelin.
Yes, maybe it's Feelin. Speaking of, I mean, not actually. Speaking of dogs, we met the biggest dog last night. It was at the pub, and it was called Fagin, and it was huge and grey and it was like lying on its side, like, just like a bit exhausted. I would also be exhausted if I was that massive, but it was the biggest dog
Oh, so
that
huge.
maybe there's ever
So
been.
huge.
Just a huge dog. Um,
Do you want another question?
yes. Yeah, go on then.
Okay. Do you want it to be about RPGs specifically?
I don't mind.
Okay. So my question
So we've got another question from Sasha.
um, what is your favourite kind of RPG to run?
What is my favourite kind of RPG to run?
Yeah.
Uh,
Like, do you like to do big campaigns, chaotic one shots? Do you have a particular system that you like to
oh, I mean, new ones. To be honest, I like to be completely real. I am attracted often to novelty, to the sort of game that I haven't played yet. Often, if I've bought a new game and it has really captured my imagination, I am desperate to run it in whatever way I can. I really like a chaotic one shot.
Oh, you've got a question
Yeah,
there.
I know, but I'm still answering yours.
Oh, okay.
Still answering yours. Uh, Obviously, I love the epic campaign. I've had 3 maybe in my life, and they were all amazing. Um, but you know what? I actually like. There's part of me. You know what I actually really like? I really like when you start an epic campaign. You get like 3 months in. The characters have all got really cool directions they're gonna go. Like you've just started to like hit the main story. Everything's looking good, and then it, for whatever reason, you can't keep doing it. Like some people move away, or like schedules change, and the campaign falls apart, and you never finish it. And I kind of love that.
You do?
I kind of love that. I like. There's the. I love those early. I love those early sessions when there's so much potential, and I kind of love the like kind of dreaming of what might have been. You know, like I really love thinking about our 50 Fathoms campaign. You know, and like realistically, we're never gonna finish it. Like, but there's always the slight possibility that hey, maybe we might. And like thinking back over those characters, and I feel like because they never fully resolved, they live in my mind a lot more than the characters that finished their story. Does that make sense? Anyway, that's. But that said, I would never set out to run that sort of campaign because, crucially, the organic aspect of it is the key to its magic, to me at least. Kofi from John D. Hey, hypothetically, if someone was looking to get into TTRPGs but could only get 2 to 3 people total together who were interested, what system/game would you recommend as a way to start doing TTRPGs? So that's a very good question, and I think this is going to be another, just a little one, but it's going to be a little bit of another Jonny rants about D&D. To be fair, not just D&D, but so D&D is a tactical RPG in the sense that combat is a very important part of it, and combat is not the only. In combat, the scaling is done by the GM, by how the GM assembles the encounter. And what this means is that things like the concept of party balance, for instance, is very important in D&D. In a way that means, like, if you don't have at least 4 players, you are going to have an unbalanced party. And in D&D and like similar tactical based games, that's a big problem, you know? If you don't have someone to do the healing, that's a problem. If you don't have a tank, that's a problem. But I would say that is actually the minority of RPGs. I would say for most RPGs, 2 to 3 players is a great number. And I would I can think of very few games I can think of very few games that I wouldn't be willing to run for 2 to 3 players. Now, which ones would be best? That's a different question. If you are looking to, if you're looking to GM, you probably want a decently. Weirdly enough, if you're looking to GM, you probably want a decently chunky system, because well, I don't know. Like, I find that there's an odd paradox to starting to GM, which is the instinct. Like, as a veteran gamer, the instinct when recommending GM first systems to first-time GMs is simplicity. I'm like, oh no, you want a nice simple system that everyone can learn really, really quickly. But the trouble is, with a simple system, it relies much more on GM rulings. It relies much more on the GM's confidence to step in and fill the space where there are no rules, because there's just this very sort of simple core. So in some ways, I actually think that like a slightly more structured, slightly crunchier system can actually be quite good for a first-time GM. I think that's one of the reasons D&D actually is all right as a first-time game system. But so something a bit crunchy like D&D, but not not too worried about party composition or balance, or gives you more freedom. Fate's very good. Now, Fate, how easy you find Fate depends entirely on how comfortable you feel with like narrative structures and like the structuralization of narrative. Weirdly, I feel like Fate is a lot easier to learn now in the age of TV tropes or post TV tropes than it was when it first came out. Because a lot of the core system of Fate is about taking tropes essentially, or taking like aspects of things and turning them into mechanics, or mechanical tools. But also that does need special dice, so maybe not that one. Ooh, that's a tricky one. You know what? Actually, you know what I would say probably. What's a good You know what? Monster of the week. Monster of the week, powered by the apocalypse, is nice and simple, easy to get. It's got one core concept that's a little bit tricky to get your head around, which is the idea of moves. But once you've got your head around the idea of moves, it's an absolute doddle. It is very it scales very well to it gives you a lot of options of what to do, but it is not tactical in the sense that oh, you need somebody who can do this or that, because the game can very easily adapt itself. Like, the game wants to adapt because it is a game in which the players are a bit more proactive. It's not going to be here's a challenge, sure hope you have a PC that can engage with this challenge. It much more says, well, here's the situation, how do you want to engage with it? And so different characters are going to have different tools to engage with it, but you're not going to miss stuff if you don't have X or Y. And Monster of the Week is I think it's a really good starter powered by the Apocalypse, because it is a very the Monster of the Week show is a format and a genre that I think most people are broadly familiar with, lends itself very well to the episodic style of RPG gaming, and gives both players and GMs a good, just plenty of space to play in, I think. So I would say, also I actually think Powered by the Apocalypse systems do work. Actually, I think 3 players is actually the optimum number of players for a Powered by the Apocalypse game. Which I don't know if that might be a controversial opinion, but I think so. You really disagree? Okay, well I'm gonna give you the mic.
Hello, chat. It's Sasha. Look. No, I just wanted to show them that I was here. Hi. Okay, well, never mind. You'll just have to imagine my beautiful face. Yeah, I've stolen the mic at chat's request because I really disagree, actually, with a lot of that. So, here's my take to the question: if someone was looking to get into TTRPGs but could only get 2 to 3 people total together who were interested, what system/game would you recommend as a way to start doing TTRPGs? So I do agree that I think games like D&D or Pathfinder, which are heavily encounter based, rely a lot on balance, and most pre-written adventures are going to be for, say, 4 to 5 players. However, I think if you go with something simple enough, actually having that it be written for balance, it means that you can actually balance it to a small number of players. So I would say Can I have a mic whenever I talk? I'm talking now on a mic. Oh, but you just mean anytime. Sorry. Yeah. So I would say Jonny said that crunchier systems are best for beginners because they kind of leave less up to you. They leave less improving up to you. They give more structure that you can lean on. Now, I think that for some people that's probably true, but here's my problem. When I started GMing, I used a system that I would describe as medium crunch, and Savage Worlds. You think Savage Worlds pretty high crunch? Okay, well, whichever. I think actually that was too much crunch, and I knew the system really well. Oh yeah, so if you don't know what crunch means, it means like more rules. It's less like so OSR games, old school Renaissance or old school revival games have this like tagline that is rulings, not rules, which is like principles that you run the game from rather than having lots and lots of rules. And crunch is the opposite of that really. It's having a lot of rules for like very specific things. So for instance, if you have to track the weight of your pack and you have to track how many arrows you have for your bow as you go through a scenario, that's crunch. So yeah, if it's harder to swing a sword underwater, but there's an ability you can get that means that you can do that, then that is crunch. So I think a crunchy system is good if you are someone who can hold a lot of rules in your head at a time. I'm really not someone who can hold a lot of rules in my head at a time. I really need to understand something before I can remember it. And as a first time GM, especially if you are starting as the GM rather than starting as a player, I feel like if you're not someone who can hold a lot of detailed information in your head, then you need to wait until you understand a system before you can really run a crunchy system confidently, because otherwise you're just going to be overwhelmed with trying to remember all the rules. And if you're brand new to TTRPGs, then you probably don't have the like shape of a TTRPG system in your head ready for all that stuff to kind of slot into its appointed place. You don't have the structure that you can hang the detail on easily yet. It'll come, but you don't have it when you're just starting out. I certainly didn't. So I think if you're someone who struggles to remember a lot of detail, if that's intimidating for you, don't go for a crunchy system at all. I'm someone who is much more confident with like improvising storytelling and making stuff up. So for me, something like Fate Condensed is great. It was way easier because there's not that many rules to remember. There is a structure to remember. There is a structure that is very well explained, and there are principles that are very well explained. And the book is actually really cheap. It's like £4, and it goes through. Don't worry about it. Just have fun. Just make stuff up. Powered by the Apocalypse has come up a few times. I love a Powered by the Apocalypse game. I think for a new player, it's brilliant. I think for a group of 2 to 3 players, it's great. But personally, I found it quite hard to run the first time that I ran a Powered by the Apocalypse game because of the move system. It's very much codifying what you as a GM should do, such that you have to do certain things at certain times, and there's a very long list. You have to not do certain, like you can only do certain things at certain times, and there's a very long list. And if you're someone who's confident with GMing, you'll find that you actually do that stuff anyway. You're like a good GM will do that stuff. But what Powered by the Apocalypse have tried to do is basically codify exactly how to run a good game. And that's actually something that's quite complex. So if you're trying to hold all that in your head, I find it really overwhelming. I would say if you're going to be running a Powered by the Apocalypse game as your first game, and I'm not saying don't, they're great games, but I would say go for one of the lighter hacks. So one of my favorites is Camp Flying Moose for Girls of All Kinds, by Alicia Furness. It's really cheap. It's like a zine size one, and it's incredibly easy to learn. And what was the other thing that you said that I disagreed with? Oh yeah, no, that wasn't it. That was it. It wasn't that I disagreed. I just thought that you missed this, which is that if you have 2 to 3 players, I don't know if that means that you've got like you a GM and then 2 to 3 players, or if you mean that you've got 2 to 3 players including you. But if you end up with just 2 players or just 3 players including you, consider a GM-less system, which will make things much easier. So Fiasco is a GM-less system that is very well regarded and well tested and comes with so many play sets, but it is very improv heavy. So if you're like someone who's quite comfortable storytelling and wants to like tell a story with your friends, that's a really good one. If you want something crunchy, it's harder to find a GM-less system, to be honest. Jonny is saying that every GM-less system is geared to one-shots. I don't think that's true. I've got a couple of zines that I'm looking at right now that aren't. But I would say also if you're trying to get into games and you've got like 2 or 3 players, maybe try picking up an anthology like Pretentious Games for Villains and Bastards. Well, maybe Storybox, or okay, that's why I said, well, okay, maybe Storybox. Pretentious Games for Villains and Bastards probably not to get you into that specifically weird game, so not that one, but Storybox maybe, or something like the Ultimate Micro RPG book, something like that. Like, give that a go, because you'll find quite a variety in there that you can try out, learn what you like, learn what you don't like, and then once you've tried a few, you'll have a better idea of what you might want to get into a bit deeper. So you can get Storybox from Don't Hurt Birds, or you can get the Ultimate Micro RPG book from, well, it's edited by James Tomato. So search for One Shot Network.
I've got a question for you
And
here. Hey Sasha, I struggle parsing a ton of written rules. Do you have a good podcast or video that would help in understanding how one of the apocalypse?
I don't necessarily have a good podcast or video that I know of that like explains Powered by the Apocalypse, but there are quite a lot of good one-shot actual plays you can listen to. For instance, if you're interested in Camp Flying Moose, I ran a special of Camp Flying Moose on the Rusty Quill Games podcast, which was great fun. So, and I was also in a Monster of the Week where everyone died. Was that also in Rusty Quill Gaming, or was that Magnus feed? I think they're both Rusty Quill Gaming. So I would say if there's an actual play you like, check if they've done any. And yeah, the one with Camp Flying Moose I think is really good, and you can also it's a really small. Let me get the zine for you so Jonny can show it to you. Oh, sorry, little cat. Here you go, Jonny. You're not busy. Oh, he's nearly dead. It'll only be a minute. There you go. Now you can show them. So you can like get that, and then you can listen to the actual play, and a couple of hours to listen to the podcast and read the little zine, and you'll have learnt the game. Anyway, here's Jonny again. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, Kofi from Alea thinks, Q for the A. Have you ordered Elden Ring, and if yet, are you excited to play it? So, I am very excited to play Elden Ring in about 4 to 6 months. Because I will be completely honest, I have never had a good experience playing a FromSoft game immediately after release. Like, about 4 months in, or that like and like the thing is, I think FromSoft games are such a fine line for me between joy and frustration most of the time. For instance, the first time I played Bloodborne was immediately after it came out, and I fucking hated it. The reason I hated it was because the loading screen between each death took about a minute. And like there were just a few other things about it on release that sucked, and I bounced off it really hard. And so like there's a narrow enough margin for me with FromSoft games between love and hate that I always want to wait until it's been out for a while and all of the the little tweaks that need to be made have been made, and then also I'll be honest, there's always fucking discourse, like games discourse, when a FromSoft game comes out, usually about difficulty. And what does difficulty mean? Is it too difficult? Is it like and like I don't really have opinions on the sorts of debates that come out alongside a FromSoft game. But when it's in the middle of the release, when there's all the hype, I don't want to be part of that whole thing. Anyway, point is, I find FromSoft games not great on release as a general rule. If I'm proven, if it turns out Elden Ring is amazing and amazing and like just discussionless but just really cool on release, happy to be proven wrong. Maybe I'll pick it up earlier than usual. But also, you know what? I will probably be streaming it, so maybe I will just play it after I've finished my Fancy Lad run in 20,000 years, because that's how long it will take to defeat the Orphan of Kos with the fucking threaded cane. And that's not me saying that I will die a lot. That's me saying it does so little damage that a single successful fight will take several years. But that guy just said it was my fault, which feels a bit. Also, I'm slightly less excited for Elden Ring than I was for Sekiro, just because, I mean, it's fantasy bullshit, isn't it? Like, and I'm not particularly into samurai bullshit either, but you know, I'm a sword guy. I've got my armor, got my helmet. Let's go fight a wolf. I mean, I'm aware that I am fighting a wolf right now, but in other news, I've forgotten my point. Anyway, yes, I am very excited for Elden Ring, but I have not pre-ordered it and will not be rushing out to get it the moment that it releases. To be fair, I actually think that's a good principle for any video game these days, because most video games right now straight up are not ready for release when they are released. Like, it's like, I honestly think that it is just a good point of policy to buy a game at least 6 months after its release, because like I get wanting to play it immediately, but I also think it's a chumps game. Same with early access for me personally. Like, I know that this is much more of a me thing, which is early access is much more of a me thing, because I know if I play something in early access, I will play so much of it that I will grow tired of the game, so that when it actually comes out, I won't play it, because I'll be full of it, even though. So all I'm doing by doing early access is making it so I fill up on a worse version of the game. But that's like I'm also very much not who early access is for, you know? And I salute all the people who do early access so that I can eventually play a better game. Maddie says they 100% recommend reading the RPG rulebook of whatever you want to learn, and then listen to an actual play of it to see if you can follow the rules and learn that way. That's a really good way to do it, I think. And was not it's weird. Like, that's not something that ever crosses my mind when thinking about learning a new system, because obviously when I was coming up, wasn't an option, wasn't a thing. Like, one of the lessons that, and like, I'll be honest, that it took me the longest time to actually give actual plays a shot, because the idea so profoundly baffled me. And it wasn't just like, what? People might listen to an RPG? It wasn't like confusion. It was that one of the lessons that had been like drilled into me over my first decade of playing RPGs is, well, as we call our little podcast, no one wants to hear your RPG stories, because like people would tell me their RPG stories, and I'd tell other people their RPG stories, and like, it is almost identical to describing your dreams to someone. In the sense that you'd be like, in the sense that it feels, in the sense that you kind of had to be there, you know? It feels very emotionally real to the person who it happened to, but to the person it is being described to, it is just a contextless. It's a contextless thing that didn't happen. You know, people will be like, oh, and then the portal collapsed, and I lost my arm, and it's like, no, it didn't. You all just pretended it did. You just sat around and said that this thing happened, and that's actually not as much of a story as all that. And so for the longest time, I had this principle in my head: no one wants to hear your RPG stories. What the fuck would people want listening to someone else's RPG? Not realizing, of course, that both things can be true, because the thing about RPGs is you do have to be there. But if you're listening to an actual play, you effectively are there. Like, it is a very good format for transmitting what is actually really cool and magical about playing an RPG. Like that emerging, slightly randomized story is lovely. And also, turns out there are RPG stories that are good to tell, and those are the RPG stories that are about you, and about like one of the questions that we always ask on the podcast is like, what's the biggest disaster you've ever caused as a player or as a GM? Because that's the sort of RPG story that's really interesting. Stories that are kind of like about, not about what happens to the character, but about what did you do? Like, what were you feeling? Because your character isn't real. You are. And that's where the fun of an RPG story lies. That was a really long tangent. But also fills the time, don't it? As I endlessly farm blood vials. The trouble is, and here's where I would say, I promise I'll stop hating on the threaded cane soon, if I was ever going to stop hating on the threaded cane. The problem with the threaded cane, you see, is that you use a lot more blood vials. Because it does so much less damage, the combat, even a failed combat, lasts a lot longer. So, whereas with a lot of bigger weapons, you can go in, you can like really go for it and die quite quickly. With a threaded cane, you're always hanging on and chipping away, and it means that you just burn through them much faster. Oh, wow. Big. This is just me showing that I didn't do my homework. My homework of getting all the blood. I mean, yes, this is literally just me doing my homework in class. But But, you know, sometimes that happens. Big Kofi from Tsigi. Hi Jonny et al. Happy to have helped with the forgotten video. My good news is that I've just seen the first pictures of a certain museum's foundation being laid. The museum is one that my dear friends belonging to the tiniest linguistic minority of Poland, Wilamowians, less than 50 native speakers alive at the moment, have spent years fighting a ton of hostile far-right politicians to get to agree to build it. My Q Fiore is not game related. How was your day in the windy UK? The videos I saw online were vaguely disquieting. It was noisy, but not too bad. I did actually go out once I went once out into the back garden to put the food waste in the compost. It was quite blustery. And then I went out to get coffee at one point, and it was very windy, a little bit rainy, but actually, for me, just walking through the streets of London, it was just the right level of windy and cold and rainy to make drinking a cup of hot coffee as you do so really quite lovely. But that said, London is like, I'm in, I wouldn't say a particularly built up area of London, but certainly an area of London where there is definitely no like wide open spaces or room for the wind to pick up a lot of speed. Lots of stuff in our area to break up the wind, so it wasn't like, it was never going to hit my area as hard as it hit other people. Or, for instance, the Millennium Dome, which got all fucked up by the wind. It's been shredded! The winds! Storm Eunice shredded the dome! Which, I'll be honest, really tickles me, because I don't know if you know this about the Millennium Dome, but it's kind of shit. And it's always been kind of shit. And everyone in Britain just kind of accepts it's just a bit shit, and we don't know why it's still here. Because it's been 20 years. But yeah, it's been alright. The other part of my day was finishing an edit on a 100,000 word book. And so, bit like good, satisfying, very happy that I have finished this colossal project. Well, or at least I've finished this leg of the marathon that is writing a book. But also a bit like, oh, my brain, she is crunchy. Also, Maddie, don't talk to me about not doing my homework. I've been editing a book. Been busy. I don't think. I don't think it is a pronoun thing. I think it is a French accent thing. Everything is she in a French accent. No, not a Mr. Crunchy. Which, for those of you who don't speak French almost like a native, is the translation of the croque monsieur, a lovely toasted sandwich that you get in France. Is it fried? Sorry, fried in cheese. Croque monsieur, Monsieur Croque, Mr. Crunch. There's also a croque madame, which is a sandwich with an egg on it, and one can only assume that that sandwich is married to Mr. Crunch, because you know, if there's two sandwiches, one of which is a lady, one of which is a lady sandwich, one of which is a man sandwich, they're probably married. You know, that's how heteronormative society works, both in the human world and in the sandwich world. Pretty confident saying this. Because what are sandwiches if not flat people? I mean, you know, I live with Steve, who is a proto-sandwich. Though, that said, a sandwich is not necessarily his destiny. He could also become croutons. Or toast. This is a joke on the fact that he's Steve Bread. I don't know. Like, to be fair, I'm sure. I think a lot of you probably aren't intimately familiar with Steve and his own Twitch channel, which you should be. He plays Pokemon. He plays some little indie games. It's really funny. He's actually streaming tomorrow morning, but his channel is Stephen Bread, so that was the joke about him becoming a sandwich. Kofi from Olivia. Just wanted to say I'm very much enjoying the Fancy Lad run. Also, I've been teaching myself to paint for the last 6 months, and last night I made the first painting that felt like my voice. It's kind of wild and very rewarding to reach that point in a new creative pursuit. That's really exciting. That's really lovely. And you're absolutely right. It is wonderful to reach that point where you are no longer trying to develop your you're always trying to develop your skill, but where it's no longer about simply learning how to do a thing, it's learning how to use that thing to express yourself, and that's really wonderful. Congratulations. Kofi from Lotus Flare. Hi all, my game group is starting a hunter campaign tonight. Looking forward to fighting monsters in 1940s southern France. Carry on being the fanciest lads. Have some money. Thank you, Lotus Flare, and congratulations on being southern France monster hunters. I'm assuming that's a hunter as in the White Wolf, the World of Darkness game. I forget which one Hunter is at the moment. I know it was originally Hunter the Reckoning, and then it was Hunter the Vigil. Oh, damn it! But I don't know if there's been a third Hunter subtitle yet. But hope you have a great time hunting monsters in the south of France. By which I mean I don't know enough about the 1940s south of France. By which I mean Tour de France cyclists. Yeah, maybe a Tour de France cyclist is a where bicycle. Yeah. Frenchman by day, but when the moon is full, bicycle. Pretty horrifying, if I do say so myself. Oh. Damn it. We are talking about the word crunchy a lot, yes. I mean, it's a good word. It's a good textural concept that has many applications. See, yeah, I sincerely hope Jonny uses crunchy in the title of this video once he uploads it to Yut. Ouch. Oh no. Am I going to die to these werewolves? I think not, lads! Oh. Oh, I think maybe, lads. No. No. Obviously not. I am far too fancy to die. No, I didn't. Just takes a second for it to fade. Right. I think this will be our last Blood Vial run, and then I'm going to die at the hands of Vicar Amelia once or twice more. And then we'll probably call it. Oh, hello. Pretty sure I killed you. What are you really sad about? Sorry, so Sash is bemoaning that we, as MacGuffin & Company, we don't have a single game that is, in his words, good for friends at the table to play. Which, I'll be honest, It's not actually a podcast I think either of us listens to.
I've heard it.
I've heard it too, but we don't keep up with it.
I really like everyone on it.
Yeah, so we really like it. The thing is, we don't actually listen to a lot of actual plays. It like, you know, like I listen to Rusty Quill Gaming because it's my mates. But we don't actually listen to a lot of actual plays. But we both really, really like everyone who is on Friends at the Table. Also, what do you mean by like a game Friends at the Table would play?
What game of ours would they play? There's not a good one. They like
What?
to do like Little Rats. They like to do a season.
Well, I mean, they've like, yeah, but like, what systems do they tend to use?
They use a lot of indie ones.
Yeah,
A lot.
but you think their seasons would be too long to do a micro setting?
Well, they'd need a system for it.
Yeah, that's fair. But we haven't really we haven't done a lot of we haven't actually done any full systems. Well, we're doing Pit Crawler, but that's a two-player thing, you know. Well, maybe we should try to put together a system, like a proper system, a big system, a cool system. Who can say? Right, let's go. Kofi from Jay. Hi, Jonny and Sash. My favourite question to ask people: what is your favourite bird? There are simply so many fantastic birds. I personally am a big fan of the shoebill stork. Please Google if you've never seen one. Whoa, what a weird bird. Maddie has helpfully provided a picture. My favourite bird. What is my favourite bird? I'm not confused. Rude. I'm not actually convinced I have a favourite bird. I feel like I must, but I don't know that I do. I mean, I legitimately like city pigeons because they go around always being like just oi 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 oi, let's have some fucking crumbs, oi oi. They don't actually say that, but they definitely sound like that in my head. At one point, it was raining, and I passed a whole bunch of them sheltering under an overhang with their necks up like that, and they were just like, fucking rain. It was great. Oh shit. I meant to. Sash is going to get a seagull tattoo soon, so I think for Sash it's a seagull. Well, rather, these are our favourite trash birds, which is different to an. Although I also like, I kind of like a vulture. Kind of like a vulture, actually. They are quite fun. Also, you know what? A penguin. I always forget penguins are actually birds. I love penguins. Penguins are great. I love. They're adorable, and I love that they secretly smell really, really bad. And I also my current favourite bird, though, I would say, is the coot. Because there's a place nearby us called the Walthamstow Wetlands, which is like it's just a good little nature reserve. It's fun. It's near it's near enough to the city that you feel like it's got a lot of. I mean, it's like a cool bridge between nature and the city. And it's got a lot of birds in. The only one I can reliably identify is the coot. And I like both being able to look at a bird and say, hey look, it's a coot. And I like the word coot. It's a fun one to say. It makes me feel like I'm calling the bird a cranky old man. So I'm going to say right now, at this exact moment in time, my favourite bird is the coot. Ow. Oh, really? Pretty sure I dodged that one. Kofi from Big Nick. When I was at school, when I was a kid, I went to the Millennium Dome on a school trip. It was all right. Coincidentally, the day we went was the day that the attempted diamond robbery took place. My school bus ended up in the background of that night's TV news. I feel like I should remember the Millennium Dome diamond robbery in a way that I do not remember the Millennium Dome diamond robbery. This feels like the first time I'm hearing about the attempted Millennium Dome diamond robbery, but that doesn't sound right. It can't be the first I'm hearing of it. It was all over the news, apparently. Anyway, congratulations on going to the Millennium Dome. Sorry to hear that you weren't present for a successful diamond robbery, because that would have been marginally cooler. Oh, Finn is streaming Total War Warhammer 3 after this, so we are going to be raiding her. Alright, you big bastard. Sorry, that's not... Hello, beast! Sorry to momentarily break fanciness there. Oh my god, this fucking thing. Sorry, I'm obviously not talking about Vicar Amelia. I am obviously talking about the threaded cane. Like, especially because like she does that big heal in the middle, which you can easily disrupt if you have a nice high damage, high stagger weapon. And if you don't, well. Yes, there we are. That's a good one. No! No, you don't, you fucking... What? Did I put away the threaded cane? Why am I karate chopping her? No. Oh, yeah. Oh, no! Do just a little bit more damage, you fucker! Just a little bit. Yes! Oh. Thank you. Oi.
I always believed in you.
Did you?
That you'd get there eventually. Yeah.
Whoa, Lotus Flare just got an owl tattoo. That's sick. I like it. It's very it's kind of like geometric, but also sketchy, which is really cool. Right, I think that's probably... I'm going to go spend some of them good echoes. I feel like there's an aspect, to be honest, of this stream that has stopped being Jonny plays through Bloodborne as a fancy lad, and much more Jonny just plays through Bloodborne with a bunch of self-imposed restrictions that he resents immensely. But you know what? I think that's fine. I think that's fine, actually. I think people are... I'm certain chat are loving it anyway, because of misplaced self-confidence. You know what? I'm gonna just eat a bunch of blood. Actually, wait, can I get anything else new or cool from the old? Ritual blood. Blade of Mercy, very expensive. Little bit fancy, but not actually as fancy as the threaded cane. Blunderbuss, not as fancy. Repeating pistol, bit fancy. Bit fancy. Interesting. Interesting. Fires 2 shots at once, but does do more damage. Interesting. The Crow Feather Garb, I'm going to be real, it's not super fancy, but... Actually, you know what? Someone was saying that I needed to prove that the Crow Feather Garb wasn't as fancy as all that. So, you know what? This is all for next stream. So, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed, drop us a Ko-fi. If you're watching this on the VOD or the YouTube and you've enjoyed it, drop us a Ko-fi. Also subscribe, cheer, do all the cool stuff. That is just that you do for channels you like on the Twitch. Also, check out tomorrow. Steve's streaming in the morning. I think he's currently doing Ukulele 2, The Impossible Lair. It's a lot of fun. And also on Sunday, MacGuffin & Co. doing a stream in the evening. We are continuing our Pit Crawler game, which is our 2-player adventure gamebook style dungeon crawling game, where Sasha is currently trying to help her Minotaur friend turn back from being a skeleton. And Sunday afternoon will be Jane Austen Book Club with Sasha, currently reading Emma. If you like the sound of anything I've talked about on this stream so far, check out MacGuffinandCompany.com. Join our mailing list, buy our stuff. It's all good, baby. Also, I'm going to just completely off topic, and I'm going to keep you here longer. I know you're all saying bye, but you know what? I am going to take 2 minutes to say a thing that's been in my head, which is, I've recently started reading, I've started reading an old Star Wars book, the old Heir of the Empire ones. I've never read them before. The reasons I'm reading them, various, but I basically ended up with an excuse to read a weird, crunchy old hardback, and I love. Yeah, there's that word again. Probably not actually super appropriate here, but I love battered old paperbacks. And I'm like, I can read these in battered old paperback. But point is, and when I say the reason, I'm not doing anything with it. I'm not doing anything with it. I mean, this is like a podcast we're listening to keeps referencing them, so I'm like, I should read them. I like it. Some of it's really good, some of it's really bad. But the thing is, I make so much fun of Star Wars and similar like sci-fi fantasy stuff of never just being able to say what a thing is and always having to like add a bullshit sci-fi fantasy word. It's like it's never like, look out, there's a flock of bats. It's always like, be cautious. Donkunian razorbats are very vicious. Or like, oh, what are you drinking? Oh, well, this is a Coronian ale. And like it's bullshit. And I'm always like, why can't you just say the thing? But there's a bit in this book that I just read, and I've just started reading, where someone offers Princess Leia some milk and crackers, and I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck are you doing? What? You don't even have the common decency to call it like Bratlarian hypermilk, you know, and Nebula crackers. That's it feels wrong. Feels wrong, and I will not stand for it, Timothy Zahn. Anyway, I just noticed that book and felt like I had to say that because it's been living in my head for a while, and I've said it to Sash, but I say everything to Sash, so you know I want to say it to you as well. I feel like you all deserve it. So yes, this has been my stream. Thank you for staying further with me to just talk about some really old Star Wars thing. But yes, thank you very much for watching. We will be raiding Finn. We'll be raiding Finn, playing Total War Warhammer 3. What should the raid phrase be? I've not really done a lot in Bloodborne. Crunchy! Crunchy brains. The raid phrase is crunchy brains. And it's going to be funny because I bet Finn will think it is to do with eating brains. Finn might even think that it is something to do with, if she remembers I'm playing Bloodborne, she might think it's something to do with the Madman's skulls, because, you know, you crunch it in your hand, and then you've got more brains. And, like, she might very reasonably make the connection. Crunchy brains. But it's not that. It's nothing to do with that. It's everything else. Anyway. Right. Finnina the Binnina. Right. Thank you all for joining me. And as we say at the end of every stream, would you like some Argovian hypermilk and Runcunian star crackers. They're very tasty. Bye!